So the part A, the Florida part, I increased by 8 points, and then the
Okay.
MBE, I increased by 7 points, even though I didn't pass it.
Wow, so 15-point
So
increase. That is substantial.
yeah. Oh, felt so good.
Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Hanging Out with Successful Bar Exam Takers, and I have a successful Florida bar taker, Karen Richards, with us today. Hey Karen, how are you?
Great.
So you've just gotten the news recently about passing the Florida bar. So I got to ask, how does that feel?
It feels crazy good.
Crazy good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, isn't it? I said before we came on, it's kind of like you just can't stop smiling.
I know. I was shaking and I was checking the score and I was like, what? And then I just cried happy tears.
Nice, nice. This was not your first time taking the exam.
No, it was my third.
Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about that. And one of the cool things, sometimes I do interviews with students that I get to know pretty well. And sometimes I have students that just put their head down, do the work. They're no drama. They just go about their business. And you're one of those people that just kind of put your head down and
Yeah.
do the work. So I'm going to learn a lot today, I think, in our call as well. And it's always kind of fun for me. It may be a little unnerving for you, but let's start back a ways. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you went to school and what your journey was leading up to this February bar exam?
So I'm here in San Diego. I went to Thomas Jefferson School of Law. I graduated May 2016,
Okay.
and the first time I took the bar was July 2016. And yeah, I so the out of the two parts, I failed both of them, and overall it was a fail. And I used Kaplan,
Mm-hmm.
and because I used Kaplan for LSAT,
Yes.
so I thought, oh well, they give you a discount or to help you out with the bar, and didn't work at all. So the second time I took it, I waited a year because I started my LLM at Boston University in tax law, and I said, well, I had finals in December, so I didn't take the February 2017 exam. I took the wait, that's correct, right? The
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Teach that
took the
out.
July 2017, and it was a fail across the board again.
Oh my.
So I was
Yeah.
like, I got to do something completely different because it's just not working for me. And I was a little bit off. It wasn't a big difference from a passing score. So I was like, oh, I can do it on my own. And I really focused on memorizing and not a lot of practice and MBEs or, essay writing. I was like, I have to know the black letter law exactly. And that's really didn't work for me.
Yeah. It's interesting. Not a lot of our Florida bar takers will be familiar with Thomas Jefferson School of Law out in California. Most of your classmates were sitting for the Cal bar, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, and that's a really tough exam, and Jefferson doesn't have a great pass rate to start with, so that's
No.
got to be a little unnerving. And coming from California, where you're not used to Florida law, that had to be a bit of a challenge too, right?
Yeah, and I was planning on taking the California bar. I'm from Florida originally, and my fiance started law school my third year.
Ah,
And we actually met in Florida and came out here, and I was like, "How did I convince you to go to law school? You saw me struggling this whole time." But
wow.
he did. And so I was like, "Oh, well, I'll just take the California bar, work out here until we move back." But I decided my last year, I'm just going to take the Florida bar. And so I took classes like community property that I didn't need and all these like certain classes. And so I had to start and learn everything brand new. But
Right. So the homestead exceptions and exemptions
yeah,
were not something you studied. Yeah.
no, not at
And that
all.
community property thing didn't do you much good either, did it?
Not at all.
No. What do you know? Yeah. All right. So you got your LLM, you're working on that, and you decide to study for the bar, the Florida bar. How did you find Celebration Bar Review?
So after doing Kaplan and just didn't have a good experience with them at all. They made, certain statements like, murder has never been tested on the Florida bar, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about adoption. It's never been tested. And so I'm going into it, okay, well, I'll review. And then, as you know, like last time I took it, there was a whole adoption essay, and I completely bombed it. And I was like, you know what? I'm done listening to all these big box bar prep courses. And I was like, I need something completely different. And I saw yours and I saw all the success stories. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for this because you had MBE questions that are have been previously tested and a whole different way of writing. And I was like, well, I got to try this out because IRAC has not worked for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Yeah.
found you guys online, I think, on,
Cool.
yeah, just Googling.
Yeah. Okay. That works.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the fact that this was something completely different. One of the things people sometimes lose sight of is that if you keep doing the same thing, it is really hard to get a different result. So,
Yes.
the other part of this is you said you came close to passing, but you weren't quite getting over the threshold, and that can be really deceptively. It can be deceptive because you think, if I just work a little harder, I'll get over the top, right? Is that
Hmm.
and so making that decision to just completely break with that and do something different had to be a little scary.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so how did you find the process coming in and doing this very different kind of course?
Well, I mean, like you said, you just have to let everything you've done in the past go and just start new and completely, um, learn it from the bottom up. And that's what I did. I mean, I was so used to doing IRAC in law school and everything. And, I do practice essays for Kaplan and I couldn't format it right. Everything, my issues were all over the place and I still had trouble with that. But once I learned the FLA style, it was clicking for me. And I was like, I mean, I sat down in the bar and the first day I was smiling writing these essays because I was like, this is just easy. I just did it. I was sitting there and I was like, this goes there, boom, boom, boom. I know exactly how to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah. We've been talking about that lately, that it's kind of a sense of knowing that you know it. Is that a good way to
Mhm.
describe it? You knew that you knew the material and you knew how to put it together?
Yeah, and even if I was unsure of a rule statement or something, the FLA writing style is much more, it's much better to just kind of flow with your writing. If you miss something, you can pick it up with your analysis or in the facts and put that in there. But with IRAC, it was just, if you didn't, it was one thing for the rule. And if you didn't have the complete rule, it's like an immediate, oh, they don't know it.
Yeah. So instead of that all or nothing approach, it gives you a chance to be in the game all the way through, right?
Yeah, it totally changes your thinking because I was telling my fiance, I was like, when I was writing this FLA style, it's like this is how lawyers think, and this is how lawyers, when they're in court, this is how they're, they're arguing to. So it's like it seemed so much better to me than Iraq because no one
Yeah.
really thinks like that.
Yeah. And from your lips to, somebody else's ears, because that is one of the
Yeah.
big challenges. Now, in our course, we offer different levels of coaching. And we've got a premium course and a personal course, and we have a basic course. And you chose the basic course, which was the most economical, but it also meant we weren't reviewing your written work. And sometimes people ask me, can you be successful in that basic coaching program? You want to talk a little bit about what that was like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I worked really well with, trying it on my own, learning the FLA writing style, and then comparing my answers. And I knew it didn't have to be exact because I know the Florida Bar does release like a top answer to the past essays that they test. And, I was reading those and some of them, I would get so caught up. I was like, that's not the right rule. That's not this. And, but they got the top score. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And even if mine was a little different from yours or the sample answers, that's how I learned the best. And I was like, oh, and then I'd issue spot some if I didn't have enough time to do an essay. But yeah, you can totally do it on your own. I mean, I had in Kaplan, I had them reviewing my essays and it didn't really help me that
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
I don't know.
So there you go. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that's really helpful because I think people should understand that it is possible with any of our courses to be successful. And sometimes the feeling is, oh my gosh, I've got to throw a lot of resources at this. How many hours a week would you say you spent studying? I think you started with us in like maybe September or so.
Yeah, I did. No, I purchased the course and I didn't start exactly in September.
Okay,
I planned on doing it, but I actually probably started around November, and then I had my finals for at
right.
Boston. So and then Christmas, and it's so hard. I wasn't used to it, but I was like, well, I just gotta, I gotta get on it. And when I came back in January, I mean, I did stuff here and there, and it was slower. It was a slower studying then, but I don't know. I studied here and there, but I overall the whole week I'd say probably 40 hours
Okay.
for the whole week.
So you were pretty active in your studies, and
Yeah,
of course trying to study for school. So along the way, and then I suppose your fiance probably occasionally wanted to talk to you.
yeah,
Yeah, funny how that works. And now is he a 3L now?
yes. He's
Yeah.
graduating in May.
Oh man. Okay. So yeah, so life's a little stressful in your household, right?
Yes, and it's so funny. They're preparing. He goes to Thomas Jefferson too, and they're trying to, increase their bar passage rate, and they're teaching them Iraq. But I'm like, when you leave law school, just forget about all that. You need to learn FLA. You need to do this course because that is not going to help you.
Right.
I'm like, how they're trying to teach you and prepare you the best. It's like this is not. I don't think this is what the bar examiners want to see.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of wisdom in that because, you said the writing style is like what real lawyers do, and that's what we're
Yeah.
mimicking. That is what the practice of law is about, and that's what the bar exam is about. And I think it's frustrating to people. They do what they did in law school and they don't get a good result. And then they say, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, it's not a law school exam, right?
Yeah.
So it changes that context. You were pretty flexible, though, it sounds like, in terms of just getting into the rhythm and the structure. I mean, there were lectures and there was outlines and practice questions. You were following the syllabus, the study guide that we
Hmm.
gave, right?
Yeah.
Did you participate? I know you were in our private Facebook group. Um, did you participate in any of the group coaching calls or do any of that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So you really were just kind of keeping your head down and working all
Yeah.
along, right?
Yeah.
But were you going on the Facebook group? Did you check that out?
Yes. At first I was hesitant. I was like, what? I'm just going to do this on my own, follow the course, you know, do it that way. But then that Facebook group was so helpful. I posted on a couple times. I got really sick right before the
That's right.
exam.
Yeah. Yeah.
I posted on there, and the encouragement from everyone was unbelievable. And I was like in tears one day. I'm like, I'm not going to pass again because, I can't study. I was so sick. I was in and out of the doctors. But then, the encouragement from that Facebook group and just everyone talking and, congratulating everyone and sharing their stories. It's just, I really,
Yeah.
it meant
Yeah.
so
I remember
much.
seeing that post. It was what, a couple of weeks before the exam and you got sick?
Yes. And I had to fly back to Florida and, get used to
Yeah.
the time change and everything. And I was so sick.
That's a lot to do. And
Yeah.
and while you were sick, you just stopped studying, I assume, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, how do you deal with the mental part of that? Uh, you know, you've been working, you put all this effort in, and now it seems like you're about to be derailed by something out of your control.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. When you get stressed out or anything, when I was sick, I couldn't study my best. And I was like, it's not even worth it to sit down right now and be so stressed out. I could go outside, take a break, and I rested for like 2, 3 days. I didn't even look at anything. And then I came back and I was like, you know what? I can do this.
Mhm.
It's everything is in here right in front of me. I just got to put my head down, study really hard, let all the stress, everything go, and then get on this because I'm not going to be able to retain anything. I'm going to be so worried, stressed out. So, I mean, even if you miss a couple days of studying, there's a family emergency or anything, just take a deep breath because you can do it. Even if it not the next or not this time, the next time you can do it. It's hard because it's so easy to say it, but when you're in that situation, you're like, I can't do it. I'm like so stressed out. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
in the Facebook group. When I posted on there, I was almost in tears. I was like, I have to take it a fourth time. I'm not gonna be able to do it. But that really helped me. Okay, Karen, you can do this.
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what the bar exam is actually like in Florida, because it's kind of a weird deal, isn't it? I mean, you're
Yeah.
in Tampa. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Oh goodness gracious.
I hate to bring back bad memories, but
No, well, they do this. They do the bar exam twice a year, and it's still just a mess. There's just a ton of people. You're standing in line all day. And, for me, I didn't talk to anyone all day because I didn't go to school in Florida. So I didn't really see any of my classmates or anything. I guess that was pretty good because everyone talks about the exam and what they wrote and what they answered. And it's hard to avoid it all. But the first day is the morning portion are 3 essays. So it's federal and Florida law they test. And then the afternoon, you come back and you do 100 Florida multiple choice on specific subjects. And then the next day is the MBE.
Yeah, yeah. And everybody's in one big room basically, and
One big room, concrete walls, concrete ceiling.
it's crazy, crazy place. And
Yeah.
the whole pat down, the metal detectors, everything. I
Metal
mean,
detectors, standing in
yeah,
line, and
yeah, yeah. It's just really they mess with your brain. There's no doubt about it.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so let's talk a little bit about the multi-state. What for you going into this preparation? What was the hardest part of the multi-state?
Oh, I mean, I've struggled with the multi-state, and
Mm.
to be honest, this time I was 2 points away from passing the multi-state, but
So
overall,
you, so you're,
I would
yeah,
passed.
yeah, which is
So
great,
I
isn't
passed
it?
the yes. So yeah, thank goodness.
So that means your writing was really good. That means your writing was at least a
Yes.
138, which is really
Yeah.
impressive.
I got a 140 and then a
Whoa!
134 on part B.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's really
So
great because, and again, a lot of our listeners may not know this. The pass rate in Florida in February 2018 was a whopping, we think, 27% overall. And for
yeah.
repeat bar takers, that group that you're in, the pass rate we think for that group was probably somewhere in the range of 15 to 20%.
It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go, right? And for
Yeah.
all those folks doing Iraq and grinding through the multi-state, um, it's interesting how challenging the test is, and it's really
Hmm.
tough to just power your way through it, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
like, yeah, a lot of stuff to cover, a lot to get through. And then going to the exam and trying to be able to demonstrate all of that at once, right? So,
Hmm.
okay. So
Yeah.
you go through the exam, couple days in Florida. Did you head right back to California?
I didn't. So my family still lives in Florida. So I stay with them and it was actually my spring break. So
Nice.
I didn't have class the next week right after the exam. So laid out by the pool, I just relaxed and you
Cool.
know,
And just came back to real life.
yeah.
What's it like to wait when you've taken the exam and not been successful? What's that like for that waiting period?
Oh, it's so right after, I mean, August is cool. You're like, oh, you're not worried about it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the closer it gets, or not August, but uh, when did we take it?
It would have been March. The month of
March.
March would have been pretty relaxing. Yeah,
But the closer it gets, I was more nervous waiting for the score than I was going to take the exam. I
yeah,
felt really confident. I was like, you know what? No matter what, I'm just gonna, not get stressed out going to the exam. I'm gonna open up. I know this stuff. Nothing's gonna. I mean, threw me for a loop last time opening the first essay and it was on adoption and I had no
yeah,
idea what I was talking about. But this time I was like, you know what? I know this is comfortable, but now it's like you're waiting and you're trying to fill the time and do, be active and, do your work, do your studies and everything. But it's nerve wracking. I'm not going to lie. Waiting for those
yeah,
scores. It's
yeah,
just,
yeah. So results come out on a Monday, a couple of hours earlier than they normally do. The bar
yeah,
examiners are being very weird. As we're talking today, New York released their results. They've always done it at
yeah.
midnight. For some reason, they did it at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Who knows, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, so did you get your results? I mean, because you're in California, so it's a little later in the day. So did you get the word and jump right onto the computer to start looking? Or
Well, I knew from previous times, I think it was around 11 o'clock on the East Coast, they would release them. So I woke up and I couldn't sleep all night. It's like, oh, it's going to come. So 8:30 in the morning, I got on and, I just silently checked it. And I mean, thank goodness it was in the beginning of the day because I know my California friends, they're waiting till like 5 p.m. And
right?
it's like all day they've got to be stressed out. And it's like, at least I can get it done in the morning and I know
Yep,
what it is.
yep. And so then you go online, you see your results, and that feeling, right? That
Oh my
amazing feeling.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
What'd you do after you saw the results?
First, I cried happy tears,
Right.
and then I called my parents,
Yeah.
and then I was on the phone for uh, 2 hours after that, talking to all my family and everyone. So
Amazing, amazing feeling. Yeah. So what does it feel like to get this now behind you?
incredible. It's still, I until I'm sworn in, I feel like I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
And
you're
everyone's
really
like,
close.
texting me all the time. They're like, oh, you did it, you did it. I'm like, I know, but I still have this sinking feeling. I'm like, I got to get sworn in. That's the end game for me.
Yeah,
And, I have the MPRE to take. But yeah, this is the biggest part that I'm so happy. I don't have to go stand in line and go through the metal detectors again.
that's great. What, after having taken the bar 3 times, we have a lot of people who watch and listen who are going to see this interview and they're going to go, man, that's my story. I've taken it, 3 times, 4 times, whatever it might be. What advice would you have for somebody in that situation?
you know, when you get that score back and it says fail or, a number that you didn't want, take the time to just process it, let all your feelings out because you don't want to be in the middle of studying again and going back to that time and getting upset and emotional. Just get it all out and take a week or take a couple of days, whatever you need, and then you just got to get back on your feet because there's so many people in the world and it's hard when you get that fail and people ask you, oh, so oh, my cousin passed it the first time or this person passed it, and you're like, oh, that's great, but here I am 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not every it's hard talking to people who aren't in law school or went through the whole thing
Hmm.
and to understand it, but you just you got to kind of block those people out because we have such a good group on here and we're all so supportive and we understand what it's like to fail and go back and fail and we're
Yeah.
all in this together, and whether we pass the first time or not, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be a successful lawyer and you're not
Yeah.
going to be successful in life. It's just, my dad called me and he's like, cry, but then you just got to get back on your feet and just do it again. He's like, we're Richards. We just get back on our feet and do it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, just definitely take the time to process it and be upset. Don't talk to anyone if you don't want to, but then you just got to, how I went about it, I just said, I have to change everything because I'm almost there. I improved like a point and a half the second time. I was like, I got to do something completely different because what I'm doing is not working at all. So thank goodness for your course.
Well, thank you. It's really a pleasure to see somebody who just comes in and does the work and then gets this success. And I'm so proud of you and pleased for
Thank
you.
you.
MPRE is not a big deal. You'll
I know.
crush that. So that's
Thank you.
a formality. You need about 25 hours of study and then it's done. But
Yeah.
I think it's really remarkable if you look at your law school and the pass rate across the country. It's certainly one of the schools that's had the most difficulty. And so
Yeah.
you've beaten the odds there. You've beaten the odds in Florida, certainly on this bar exam. Very few people passed. There were 400 people that passed out of, some crazy number of bar takers, like 1,700 or so.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's not like there are a lot of people. We feel really good about our results because we beat those numbers, but you beat a bigger, tougher number. And I think that is really an accomplishment that you can carry with you really throughout your career and saying, I did this thing and I did this hard thing. I'm sure
Hmm.
that that's an inspiration to your fiance as well.
Yes.
Probably a little scary, oh my God, the bar exam. But it's also, hey, it can be done. And I think that that's the great part of the story.
Hmm.
And you did it really by just following directions and not trying to reinvent the wheel and doing what we asked you to do.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's wonderful. Well, I'm so excited for you. I'm anxious to see what happens as you develop. You're going to be a tax lawyer, I gather.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Thank you.
And on the other hand, it's a Florida bar license is a pretty cool thing to have. And that's
Yeah.
going to be very, very interesting. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story today. I know it's going to inspire a lot of people, Karen, and I know that a lot of folks are going to be like, "Oh, that's so cool! I can do that. It's doable." And sometimes
Yes,
just hearing that it's doable makes all the difference, doesn't it?
I know it does.
Yeah. When you were going through this process, did you envision for yourself what it would be like when you passed?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I leading up to getting my scores every time, it's like, oh, what am I going to do when I pass? Like, am I going to go buy a big bottle of champagne or, it's going to be so cool telling everyone that I passed. And it's like, okay, well, I also have to think about the other side. Like, what am I going to do? And I try not to focus on that because I really try in every aspect of my life to think on the positive side. And,
Hmm.
you know, I, every time I had that, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And when it didn't, it was crushing. But the last time it's like, now I can go get that bottle of champagne, or then now I can go do all this.
Well,
So
absolutely,
yeah,
and you deserve that. And you know, put it on ice for a little while if you want, but man, I think you've earned it to this point.
yeah,
So, well, thank you again, and congratulations. And we're so pleased that we could be part of the journey. And
yes,
I
thank
just
you,
I'm excited to see where you go from here and what happens next. So.
me
Um,
too.
Thanks for being with us. And for all of you in our audience, thanks for joining us today. We'll be back again soon. And again, congratulations to Karen. Bye bye,
Thank you.
everybody.